In today's video, I am going to be showing you the use case of SETRANGE and SETFILTER in Business Central. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is being inspired by one of my viewer or my subscriber. He enjoyed one of the video I uploaded recently on SETRANGE, get and SETFILTER. Now he's asking for a use case scenario of this function. Right, you can see we have thanks for the wonderful video. Can you do more videos on filtering and sorting method in Business Central, which we are going to be treating today. If you are not subscribed on this channel, kindly click on the subscribe button, like and share this video. I offer videos on educational videos on Business Central, and let's get started. Right, I recorded this video earlier, but I wasn't actually recording my screen, so I would have to do all of this again. Yeah, I have to do all of this again. Okay, so while thinking about the request, I also thought about what data would be appropriate for this video. So I then looked at, okay, what data do we have in the Business Central environment that has all of the implementations that I want to actually showcase in this video. All right, so would go into the front end of Business Central. So I chose sales line. If you're familiar with the functionalities of Business Central, you will know sales line is where the sales item or the sales expenses are being chosen. Right, would know that we have sales order, we have sales codes, we have sales invoice. So we have three categories of data. Right, so I want to go on the front end and search for sales line. So I know that when I search for sales line, I should be able to get the record of either credit memo, either return, either quotation, either order or invoice. I should be able to get all of these data. So this is a very good example of data that we can work with, explaining those concepts of filtering in Business Central. Right, so once again, in case you're new, we have data type for codes, we have data type for order, we also have data type for invoice. And if I use my filter and I want to filter by data type, I should see that I can filter by codes, order, invoice, credit memo, blank order and return order. So if I click for just codes, you can see the system streamline the data to just a quotation, and if I filter for just order, vice versa. Right, so this is what we are going to be working with. And so let's get into the development environment. Right, as you all know, for each development we create a new folder, but because of what I want to explain, I already created a folder called advanced filtering. But then I looked at it's a waste of time for me to create this folder because I already have existing extension that I can extend the functionality to for this demonstration. Alright, so because the first page that launch in Business Central is actually the customer list, so why not attach the function within the customer list? So what I want to do now is we want to create an action called retrieve data. So from the look of things, this video is going to have a part 2, because while I finished the first one earlier, that I discovered I recorded only my audio. It took about 26 minutes, and which wasn't enough to explain all of the fundamentals about filtering. So this is the one video you're going to watch to really understand the concepts. Right, so I want to put application area equals all. Right, I want to make sure it is promoted true, and I want to give a caption, retrieve the data. Right, so this is all we need. So let me scroll all the way down.
So in case you are viewing from a mobile, let me increase my screen. Right, this is fantastic. So I want to Ctrl Z, trigger on action. So I want to create a reference to the record, which is sales line, or let's call it sales lines because they are more record. Right, record, which is sales line. All right, so I can then use my begin and end. So I'm going to be using a concept I argued on earlier today. I commented on a specific post on LinkedIn. That's the post was addressing the is empty and find sets, right? So I commented wrongly because anyway, never mind. Let's face the video. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is let us first of all retrieve all of this data that we saw from the front end without specifying that it's only order we want, it's only quotation we want. So the way to do this is, the first thing I want to always do is that I want to check my sales line. I want to check if it's not empty, right? So the way to do this is, if not sales line is empty, that's because I want to retrieve all of the data, right? So I want to say then begin end, right? Very simple. I'm only checking if it is not empty, right? So now that I'm sure that my data is not empty, I want to now say if sales lines dot find sets, then begin end, right? So that means my data is not empty. So whatever data you can find on the sales line record, I want you to bring them all out. So what I could do here is I could message, I could say let's see how many data did we get. So if I say sales line dot count, I want to get the total number of record it could spool. I could also message whatever data it is getting on a repeat, but that would waste our time. Let's just be certain that it gets the appropriate data. So I want to go ahead and publish. So we have 22 minutes left. I'm quite looking at the time, seeing if I can beat the time, making the video in just one shoot. Now between me and you, let's start counting. We have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. I could actually copy all and see copy. So I have 26 row. So how did I do that? I control click the next data, then I selected all, then I Control C like a copy, then it shows me that I have 26 row. So let's see what our code says. So let's click on the retrieve data, and then I also confirm that the data is 26. That means I have successfully spooled out all of the record. Right, now let's start getting technical. I want to only spool sales codes, right? How do we achieve this? So I'm going to come to the development here. I'm going to comment this. So why I'm commenting this is because I'm going to push the code into my Git repository, and in case whoever wants to get hand on what we have actually worked on can also have an hand on it. So this time I only want to filter by the document type of codes. So how do I achieve this? I'm going to achieve this using set range, right? I can achieve this using set filter also, but it's more appropriate to use set range in this scenario. So what does set range does? It can retrieve data based on a specific field or within a specific range. So we're going to work more on set range. So I want to set range on this field called document type. So what do I want to do? I want to only retrieve data between say the document type called quotes. Now you might be wondering, what did you just do there? That was very fast. So what I did there is, because I recognize that if I over the document type, you'll see is an enum, so that means it has an option. So when I do column, I'm able to access that option, right? So you can see how I was able to select this. So one thing, so after this, that means I already know that whatever data I'm getting are only data called quotes. But for me to now retrieve this data and give an output, I must always use sales line dot either get first if I only want to get the first record, or get set in case it has more than one record. If it might be one, it might be more than one, so it's safe to use find sets, right, in this case. So what we want to do here is, now I want to now say, alright, so we're going to actually do two things here. So the first thing is, I'm going to first of all message the total I got dot count, and so that it doesn't look like we are doing magic, I'm going to repeat throughout the record. So I'm going to use the definition repeats until, so I'm repeating whatever is in the middle of this until my sales line dot next is already equals to 0. I'm also going to explain this. What this means is that, just look at it like a traditional loop. When you're looping, you loop from 1 2 3 4 5. So the way this does its own looping is that when the system find data and it has retrieved the data, it call the next data. When it keeps calling the next data, the next data, the next data, until there are no longer data, then it equals to 0, right? So what I want to do here is, I want to message, in this case I want to message, I'm going to use a placeholder. So you're going to see what placeholder does, and 2. So I want to retrieve the data type and also the document number. So I'm going to pass in the values for this placeholder. The first value, which is %1, I want to say sales lines dot document type. Alright, the second placeholder, which is %2, I want to display sales lines dot document number, which is pretty much interesting, right? So let's save and let's publish. Now between me and you again, let's go again and see how many sales quotes we have. We have just two sales quotes, and their document number is 10001 10002 respectively. So let's see what the system thinks, or our code thinks we have. So we have a total of 2 records, and we have 1001 and 1002 respectively. Alright, so while the system buffers, so again I click on it, the first thing I want to see is the total record is 2, which is fine. And the first one is, I can now see that we have code of 1001, which we confirmed is the first data, and if I click OK, the second data is what, 1002, which is as we like. Now this is very beautiful, amazing, right? Now let's go into something more complex. Let's say we want to retrieve sales quote and sales order together. We want to retrieve the two together. We want to get the list of the orders and the quotation. Alright, so how do we achieve this? Pretty simple. So I'm going to comment this. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to comment this, right? So what I will do is, I'm going to say sales line. So in this case, I'm going to use a set filter, because set range won't allow me to compare two different options. I can only compare one option, except I am comparing data that is within a range, and that's, let me say, between 100 to 200, between 300 to 400, then I can use set range for that kind of filter. But now this is a more dynamic filter, so I need to use a set filter. So the same thing, document type. Now in this case, when I over set filter, you see that it takes 3 arguments. The first one, the field I want to filter for. The next one, the string, that's probably a placeholder, like the condition, that's where the condition sits, and the values are the value for whatever placeholder has been put in place, right? So now let's go on. So I would say I want to filter document type, then I put a string. So before I demonstrate this, I would go to the Business Central environment. Let us also navigate ourselves to sales line, right? We would see that let's also try to perform the action document type. We want to make sure the document type is a quote and an order. So you can see the way the system defined it: quote, a pipe, then order, then it only retrieve quote and order. Fantastic. So let's do the same thing here. So I want to represent a placeholder, %1, pipe, %2, right? So that means whatever value I pass first will be the, maybe the %1, whatever value I pass second is the %2. So the first value I want to pass is where sales document type is what? Quote. And the second placeholder is sales line dot document type 2, which is an order, which is fantastic, right? So instead of me having to message all of these out, so it's commenting this would also give me the results. The important thing is my filter. I already set filter, so let's see how many data would have as the count and the concurrent data we retrieve. So let's publish. All right, so between me and you, let's quickly do the counting. 1, 2, okay, forgot. Let's do the counting. We are, oh shit, this is counting as one row. So this is 14 rows, right? So we are expecting 14 rows of data. So we have 12 minutes. Wow, we are actually beating the time. All right, so we come again, retrieve data. So we now see we have 14 data, which is a moment of truth. So when we click 1, remember the codes, we have just 2. This is the 2 codes. Then the order starts. So we have 101 1001 for the order, 101 1001. So you can see the last one is 009, I think 8. So this is the last data of order, which is 009. You can see we have successfully retrieved that data. Now let's do something more crazier, right? We want to retrieve these 2 data, but also we want to take only orders that is above 4. We want to take quantity that is above 4, right? So you can see 2, 2, 2, 1, they are not above 4. So this 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 qualify. This one doesn't qualify. This one qualifies. So let's do that. So in that sense, we can also use set filter, but because I also want to explain the concepts of set range. All right, so this is my first filter. The first filter I want to do is I want to make sure it is between quote and order. So I want to also set additional filter that it must so I want to set filter on the quantity. Now I'm now saying the quantity must be within 4 to 500. excuse me. Alright, so for this, what actually this is the signature, right? Alright, so in order for me not to waste time, so we're going to use the set filter instead. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm doing something wrong. Alright, so do not let me waste time. So I'm going to use the set filter, and so I want to set filter on the quantity. Remember, what we want to do is we want to say the quantity is greater than 4, right? So it's greater than %1, so we'd say it is greater than 4, right? So we only want to retrieve the data that is only greater than 4, right? So the same thing, I save and then I publish. Alright, so the same thing, we click on the new retrieve. Would now see that we now have 10 data. So within these 10 data, let's see what data should we have. 1 2 3 4 5 6 6 7 8 9 10, which is actually true. So I'm going to also use set range for this. I believe I didn't do it well. I would see what went wrong using that example. Alright, so you can see we can easily retrieve data based on the set range, set filter, and then in my part 2 of this video I'm going to be showing you the rest of it. You can see it's respectively pull out the data. So if you like my content, do subscribe, share, like, follow me on my social medias, Palito City on Instagram, on Twitter, and Oyibo Ali Aziz on LinkedIn. All of my link will be below in the description. Alright, thanks for watching.